It was a sunny afternoon, the kind that makes everything feel right. The wedding was happening in a garden, the air thick with the scent of flowers and the soft hum of summer bees as guests settled into their seats. Some of them had tears in their eyes, others wiping them away with a small laugh, all of them adjusting their clothes, nervously shifting in anticipation. You know the drill. That moment when everything is about to come together. The bride stands with her father at the altar, and the groom, tall, handsome, beaming, stands beside her, looking at her like she's the only person in the world. And the dress. Oh, that dress. It wasn't the typical ball gown. It was off-white, elegant, with just a hint of daring. A plunging neckline, just enough to turn heads, but still classy, still perfect for the day that was supposed to be all about love. This wasn't a day for anything less than spectacular. It was her moment. She stood there, her heart pounding, but not with nerves. She was excited. This was the day she had dreamed of for as long as she could remember. As the officiant began guiding them through their vows, everything seemed perfect. The breeze rustled the leaves. The guests sat back in their chairs, their faces a mix of love and expectation. But then it happened. The interruption. A voice, sharp and cutting through the serenity of the garden like a knife. "I can't believe this," she heard. It was loud enough to make everyone stop and look. Heads turned. Eyes darted toward the voice. And there, standing in the middle of the guests, was Karen. You know the type, loud, brash, with a sense of entitlement so thick, you could practically taste it. She was in the middle of it all, looking around, arms crossed, a frown etched across her face. And then, she pointed right at the bride and said, "This dress is completely inappropriate. It's too revealing for her husband." I swear, the world seemed to freeze for a second. All eyes were on Karen, and you could see it in the bride's eyes, the confusion, the shock. Was she really hearing this? Was this really happening? Her father, who had been holding her hand, looked just as flabbergasted, like he was trying to process a bad joke. The groom turned, a little faltering. He looked at Karen, at his bride, trying to make sense of what was going on. But before anyone could react, Karen didn't back down. She just leaned forward and continued, her voice dripping with judgment. "I mean, look at her. The dress is hanging off her. It's distracting both for the guests and for her husband. How can he take her seriously in this?" It was like a punch to the gut. The guests shuffled, exchanging uncomfortable glances, unsure what to do. The bride's face flushed red, the embarrassment creeping up her neck. Her eyes went to her groom, but all he could do was stand there, frozen. Karen didn't care. She kept talking. "I've been married for years, and trust me, this isn't the kind of look you want to give your husband on your wedding day. It's not dignified. It's inappropriate. You need to change right now." And that was when her father, face red with anger, stepped forward. "Excuse me," he said, his voice shaking with emotion but firm. "This is my daughter's wedding day. She can wear whatever she chooses. This is not the time or place for your comments." But Karen wasn't done. She shook her head and made a dramatic gesture, pointing at the bride again. "I'm just looking out for her," she said. "Do you think it's normal for a woman to wear something like this in front of all these people? She should be dressed appropriately for her husband." I could see the anger in the bride's eyes turning into frustration. She had dreamed of this moment her whole life, and now here was Karen, a guest, invited to celebrate with them, trying to ruin it all. She turned to her groom, hoping for support, but all he could do was stand there, looking confused and unsure. The tension in the air was thick. It felt like the weight of the world was pressing down on everyone. But the bride wasn't going to back down. "Karen, please," she said, her voice shaking but strong. "This is my wedding day. I've been planning this for months. I chose this dress because it makes me feel beautiful. And I feel beautiful. So please, if you can't be happy for me, just stay quiet and let us continue with our vows." Karen, still with her arms crossed, glared. "I will not sit here and pretend that this is okay," she snapped. "I'm just saying what everyone else is too afraid to say. This is wrong." and I'm not going to let it go. The groom, his voice finally breaking through the chaos, stepped forward. He was shaking, still rattled by what had just happened, but his tone was firm. Karen, that's enough, he said. This is our day. If you can't respect that, then I'm afraid you'll need to leave. This isn't your moment to make demands. It's mine and my wife's, and we don't need anyone telling us how to do it. I think everyone expected Karen to fight back, to get louder, but instead, she just stood there, her mouth hanging open. For a moment, she was stunned. Then, her frustration turned to anger, and she threw her hands up in the air. Fine, she snapped. If you're going to be like that, then I won't stay and watch. But just know, I'm not the only one who thinks this dress is too much. You'll regret it. And with that, she stormed off, leaving behind a trail of tension in her wake. The guests, who had been holding their breath the entire time, exhaled in a collective sigh. It was like the whole world had just shifted. The bride, standing there at the altar, felt a wave of both anger and relief flood through her. She had stood her ground. She had refused to let Karen ruin the most important day of her life. The officiant, who had been caught off guard like everyone else, cleared his throat and gave a small smile. Well then, he said, trying to bring the ceremony back on track. Shall we continue? The bride and groom exchanged a look. Their eyes met, full of love, understanding, and quiet strength. No matter what Karen had tried to do, nothing could take away the joy they felt in this moment. They squeezed each other's hands, ready to continue with their vows. The rest of the ceremony passed without incident. Though the unease from Karen's interruption lingered in the air, the couple spoke their vows with sincerity, and when the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, the guests erupted in applause. The tension that had once filled the garden now faded into the background. And as they walked down the aisle, hand in hand, smiling at each other, the magic of the day wasn't ruined. It was more than that, it was solidified. They had faced an obstacle, stood firm, and emerged stronger than ever. But here's the thing. Karen's outburst, the drama, the way everything unfolded, none of it mattered in the end. The love between the bride and groom was unshakable, and even in the face of adversity, they had each other. And that was all that mattered. So what do you think? Was Karen right to speak up, or did the bride handle it like a champ? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about love, self-confidence, and how we deal with people who think they can control our lives. And as always, if you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.